Are you ready? Hey, think you can tell us what to do?
Welcome, ladies and gents, to the most must-see podcast in wrestling history. Welcome to PWC. I'm your host, as always, your mother's favorite podcaster. And we've got another Monday night review and Monday night Raw review. And Raw seemed to be on a roll. And then last night happened, and then let's just say their roll was up. Not a good show, man. No, it had moments. It was not a good show. But before we get into that review, I'm going to go through it all with you guys. Please click subscribe. There we go. And notify yourselves as well if you haven't done so already. And then tell your friends, parents, grandparents, lovers, haters, whoever you like to check us out on the YouTubes. Please, guys, check us out and share us and subscribe and get our numbers up. That's what we want, basically. We want our numbers to be through the freaking roof. Let's get into the review, huh? And Monday Night Raw, like many other Raws before it, celebrated the victory of a champion from the previous night. And we got Nikki, almost a superhero, come out and just, revel in her glory that she is now the women's champion after what seems to be a trend in the women's division when it comes to Money in the Bank is no one's allowed to have the briefcase for longer than 2 days. So well done to Nikki Ash anyway. She is the new women's champion. And that wasn't it though. She was greeted by the ever popular Charlotte Flair. And of course Charlotte just, basically begrudging Nikki, saying she took an opportunity and she deserves to have a rematch. Nikki then agreed to a match and said, listen, let's do it. Let's have it. Before they could make it official though, Rhea Ripley came out and stated her claim as well. And then of course Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville came out and announced at SummerSlam we're going to have Charlotte Flair versus Nikki Ash versus Rhea Ripley for the women's title. And then also for the main event, they've decided it's going to be Nikki Ash taking on Charlotte Flair. And we'll get to that main event. But decent opener, it set the tone for what Raw was going to be. It was supposed to be, it looked like it was going to be a high adrenaline type of Raw. Unfortunately, it fell flat somewhere in between all of that commotion. But yeah, it set up this match to have put the Queen back on top, if that makes sense. It put her in the position. Look, I'm taking nothing away from Nikki Ash, sorry. I think she's a fantastic performer. The fact that she's getting this stupid gimmick over is something of quite a masterpiece from her. So I'm taking my hat off to her, but maybe it was just a bit too early to pull the trigger on Money in the Bank and make her champion. Maybe they should have just built up a little bit rather than have her cash in immediately. I don't know where they're going to go with this one with the triple threat now looming. It seems that Nikki Ash's title reign might come to an end, or maybe Charlotte and Rhea take each other out and Nikki picks up the cheap victory. But that's how does it make your champion look? You know what I mean? We will then move on to our first in-ring action, and we had the United States champion Sheamus going on one-on-one against Damian Priest in a non-title match. And of course, these two have been teasing a little bit of a story together. And look, I don't think it was a match that we're going to talk home about. I don't think we're going to be talking about this match for many, many years to come. But these two are building up a lot of chemistry, and it's working well in the ring together. Priest picked up the victory, which puts him in line to be the next number one contender for the US title. But that's not to say that Humberto Carrillo is out of the picture either. So I'm interested to see how he's going to sort of flare this, whether he's going to brush that aside, let Damian Priest have the spotlight, and maybe put the title on Damian Priest. There was supposed to be a push for him right after WrestleMania, but that sort of fizzled out a little bit. And then, it looks like he's back in a sort of a push position, which is always great to see, especially for someone like Damian Priest. I like to see younger talents like this coming through, and guys from NXT who were massively over in NXT coming into Raw and getting a quiet build-up. I don't like it when we get shoved somebody and then we immediately have to hate them because it's not the same character that we had in NXT. They've tried to change it, tweak it up for the main roster, and it hasn't worked. And I'll get to that segment there. There is a little bit later on something that really bothers me in one of the matches that happened on WWE Raw. But yeah, for this match, like I said, Damian Priest and Sheamus looks like they're on a collision course towards SummerSlam, and I won't be surprised if that match is made official. Maybe even on the pre-show. The US title hasn't been much of relevance, should I say, or hasn't been relevant enough on Raw at the moment. And yeah, it'll be nice to actually see it get defended properly. Although I'm liking this sort of character from Sheamus where he's wearing his little trench coat and beating up guys before matches to give himself that little extra edge, which is classic heel movements from Sheamus. That's nice. That's nice to see. We then had ourselves a bit of a tag team title match, and we got Omos and AJ Styles, the tag team champions, having another match against the Viking Raiders in basically a rematch of Money in the Bank. And yeah, look, this match was a lot better than their Money in the Bank match, and we got to see a lot more of Omos in the ring doing actual wrestling moves and not just chucking people around, which was fantastic to watch. But I think the big talking point in this match is just to see how AJ Styles and Omos have evolved as a tag team. And listen, all credit to the Viking Raiders. They've put those guys over. They made them feel like AJ and Omos are a big thing in the tag team division. I think that's exactly what this tandem needed. The champions picked up the victory in another dominant display, and at this point it's so difficult to see who can actually stop AJ and Omos, because what they've done so far has been fantastic. I mean, they've knocked off two of the best tag teams in Raw at the moment, with New Day and Viking Raiders both being knocked off by AJ and Omos. And the question is, who's next for AJ and Omos? And then from two very good spots in WWE Raw, we then just went and the show basically imploded. The rivalry that everybody wanted to see but doesn't want to see it, Jinder Mahal and Drew McIntyre, continued. There was a match between McIntyre and Veer. It was a very weird match. He got disqualified for holding a chair and then getting claymored with the chair in his face. So he didn't actually physically assault Drew McIntyre with a foreign object. Instead, he got hit with the foreign object and he still got disqualified. So it was a very weird disqualification there. I'm not sure why he was disqualified, or I don't know. But anyway, that's not even the worst part of this entire segment. Jinder Mahal came out with a lawyer and said that he demands Drew McIntyre to apologize and him, otherwise he's going to sue Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre told him no, and then proceeded to beat up Veer and everybody in the arena because it's Drew McIntyre. Why not? Let's just beat up everybody. The law doesn't matter to us. Damaging people's property, etc., etc. It's all good. I don't know. Like, as fans, we all do love seeing good reunions. We all love seeing 3MB coming back together. I mean, let's be honest. And we wanted to see Jinder versus Drew McIntyre, but we didn't want to see it like this. We wanted these guys to be at the top of the card feud. And it's actually a bit sad to see how far Drew has fallen from the top there to this. And, you know, I'm taking nothing away from Jinder. He was one of, I'm not going to lie, like, a lot of guys hated his title run. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was a good opportunity to give a jobber of sense a title run and to see how it panned out. And yeah, look, it probably didn't go as planned, as WWE had hoped. I think they hoped him to get a bit more over. I think they basically use him as a marketing strategy in the Indian market, and that didn't really work as well as they hoped. But all in all, I enjoyed his title run. I thought it was fun. I thought he was arrogant enough to be a good heel champion. And look, I was expecting maybe, Drew to win the title at some point again and then have him and then slip in Heath Ledger out of nowhere and have a 3MB reunion. I thought that would have been fun. But instead, they give us this hogwash. And then from that hogwash, we get to the female tag team match. A championship match, apparently. Tamina and Natalya had to defend their titles against Eva Marie and Doudrop. I don't understand how Eva Marie and Doudrop have earned a title shot, but they have, and they got their title opportunity to go against Natalya and Tamina. And listen, for all that, there's only so much in Natalya can actually do. And Tamina take as well. I mean, they are two probably of the best workers in WWE. They're long-term workers. I mean, these two have been around from when the Divas title was around, And Natalya was, in fact, from the Women's Championship. She was just before the Divas title kind of thing. And no matter how talented you are, no matter who your heritage is, no matter where you've trained, in which dungeon you've trained, there's only so much you can do to make Eva Marie look good. And no matter how hard they tried, Eva Marie did not look good in this match. And then we've got the distraction finish, the classic WWE style distraction finish, except this one is a bit more fun, I'll give her that. We had the Lilylution. So Lily's back from Alexa Bliss. That's great. And apparently Alexa's now just forgotten about everything with Nia and Shayna, and is now solely focusing on Eva and Doudrop. So that's pretty cool. I like the little concept of the Lilylution. I thought it was quite fun. The little screen thing that they had on there was quite enjoyable. But of course, Eva was distracted. Tamina picked up the victory, and Natalya got injured, unfortunately. So it doesn't look like they might be tag team champions for much longer. I don't know how serious the injury is. I haven't looked at all the reports and stuff, but it did look like a little bit of a serious knee knock there for Natalya. She had to be assisted out of the arena, and at one point the referee was even looking at maybe stopping the match. But luckily it sort of happened at the time when the distraction was supposed to happen, so they kind of got away with that one. But anyway, that was the match. And again, like I said, I feel most sorry for Doudrop in this entire situation, because she has been paired up with someone, and I know Jeremy's going to fight me on this one, but someone who's talentless as Eva Marie. I mean, she should not be in a wrestling ring. She maybe keep her as a valet, maybe keep her as a manager, but I think I could even out-wrestle her at this point. It's so bad. And then we finally had a little bit of glimmer of hope. That word hope coming up again in Monday Night Raw. We got Mansoor and Mustafa Ali tagging for the first time ever against Mace and T-Bar, who apparently are keeping those ridiculous names, even though Retribution isn't a thing. And everybody else in Retribution has gone back to their original names, which is cool. And two things about this match that I liked, and two things that I hated about this match. I like the chemistry between Mansoor and Ali. I like the fact that Ali and Mansoor don't really communicate well together, but when they do, it looks spectacular in the ring. And I do like how Mansoor and Ali are being built up as a decent tag team. What I don't like about this match is how T-Bar and Mace, being all big and massive tag team, are becoming slightly jobberish. Similar to what happened to the Ascension when they came onto the main roster there. I mean, the longest tag team champions of all time on NXT, and then came and just became a mockery of what they actually are. And I think T-Bar rather, and Mace have become that sort of thing. I mean, if you look what T-Bar was on NXT and what Mace could have been on NXT, it's day and night, really. But anyway, and the other thing that I really hated about this match, and this is just a personal gripe to me, because I hate I don't hate tag team wrestling. I dislike tag team wrestling. And when I say I dislike tag team wrestling, anything from 2002 onwards, I've never been a fan. I haven't found that tag team spark. I mean, when I looked at, the old days, you used to have guys like the Mega Powers 2-man power trip, Rock and Sock Connection. These were the Brothers of Destruction. Those are the kind of tag teams that I wanted to think. And unfortunately, WWE, I think, let's go from up to 2006, I think, or 2007, where they just scrapped the whole idea of what tag team should actually be. And they've kind of just ruined tag team for me. And I will give them this. Usos and New Day have sort of revived my interest in the tag team division as of late. And a lot of the AEW tag team guys have done it. But for every New Day and Uso, there is a Young Bucks around that just making me hate tag team wrestling more and more every single time. And T-Bar and Mace are falling into that category of why I hate tag team wrestling. And it's just because the two of them don't feel like a tag team. It's literally smacking two people together and hoping and praying that they connect and chemistry. It feels like they're two individuals just butting heads. And yes, sometimes it works. I mean, it worked with Cesaro and Sheamus. It works sometimes. But it's a tried and tested trope that WWE have done this every single time. They're doing it exactly the same with Mansoor and Ali in hope that they could be a tag team. They've done it with Chad Gable and Otis in the hope that they can become a tag team. We can even go back with Chad Gable and Jason Jordan. If you watch that Breaking Ground in 2016, it's the exact same thing. It's you, similar styles. Let's put you in a tag team. And yes, don't get me wrong, American Alpha was a hit. Fantastic team. But that's one in a million. You look at all the others that are smashed together in the recent years, and it's just been horrible to watch. And the only two that are on the top of my head right now on the main roster that I'm enjoying, that I'm liking to watch, that have been mashed together randomly for no other apparent reason that they had nothing else to do, and that's RK Bro, because I'm a big Riddle fan, and whatever Matt Riddle does, I'm in it. And of course, the other one on SmackDown, the other just SmackDown together team, is Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode. And again, I'm a massive Dolph Ziggler fan and a massive Bobby Roode fan, so that was always going to work for me. And the fact is that Bobby Roode is a tag team specialist, and he has competed in so many tag teams all over on Impact, everywhere, even on WWE. You know, he's done his job. He is, you know, perfect as him. Him and Storm were fantastic as tag team. Dolph Ziggler as well. He's a great tag team wrestler, and it felt natural that the two of them would get together. Like it feels natural that RKO and Randy Orton will join together because it just works. But the rest, I'm over it. And then after all the chaotic and horrible wrestling that we had, shame, I don't want to say horrible because Mansoor and Ali actually were good. Average wrestling that we had, with the exception of Eva Marie, we had our WWE champion come out to the ring to make his decision whether he accepts Bill Goldberg's proposal for a championship match at SummerSlam. But before he could say anything, Cedric Alexander broke up the little ceremony and said, "Listen, you kicked me out of the Hurt Business, but I could kick you any day of the week." Shelton Benjamin came out and said, "Listen, Cedric, your voice is annoying." Very cheesy line. But he could beat Bobby Lashley too. So Bobby was like, "You know what? You guys are both here. I'll take you both on in a handicap match." And then a handicap match happened, you know, because Bobby Lashley can make matches now in wrestling because he is the world champion. So why not? We had the match, and subsequently it was just a glorified squash match. Cedric and Shelton apparently still continue their rivalry, which I felt ended about 25 months ago, but they're carrying it on, and they had some bickering and and that's another tag team that was thrown together even with zero chemistry, and they have zero chemistry together. Probably don't even get me started on that. Anyway, Bobby Lashley picked up the victory, pinning both of them in Roman Reigns style. He beat them, he stacked them, he pinned them, because he is the almighty Bobby Lashley. And we still didn't get an answer if he wants to face Bull or not at SummerSlam. But from that little bit of a disappointment, we had what was possibly the match of the night, in my opinion. I love this match. Okay, so let me first say, I'm a Riddle fan. I mentioned that a bit earlier. I love everything that Riddle does. I think the bro is great. And if you guys know, I am a huge Johnny Morrison fan, and I've been a Johnny Morrison fan since day one-ish. That's right. I love Johnny Morrison, and anything Johnny Morrison does in the ring is just pure brilliance. And it's frustrating to see him in this position of WWE right now, where he's sort of on the cusp of getting his push now that The Miz is injured, so he's getting a lot more TV time. But I feel once Miz has recovered, he's going to fall back to the background, and I don't like to see that. I really want to see him split away from The Miz and just, they don't have to fight, they don't have to feud over it, they don't have to switch one to a face. Just amicably move. Be like, sorry, bud, I would have gone my own. Johnny Drip Drip can maybe move to SmackDown, or Miz can move to SmackDown and give Johnny Drip Drip the reins to run free. That's what should happen. The match itself, though, it wasn't their best match, either of them together. I don't think I've seen them face off together in a singles match before, but it was decent, but individually it wasn't their best efforts. The ending, though, came a bit of a surprise with AJ and Omos coming up and just destroying Riddle, like just laying Riddle out there. And it obviously means that the champions have picked their next opponents, and possibly we're getting a AJ and Omos versus RK Bro at SummerSlam. And yes, hell yes, I'm in for that. 100s I'm in for that match, because I think that's going to be fantastic. I want to see Omos and Randy Orton. Randy Orton is the most stiff wrestler when it comes to rookies, and I want to see him just beat the hell out of Omos in the ring. Or will we finally see Omos get a proper wrestling thing? I mean, he had a bit of glimmers today, or on Raw today. Why not put him full with Randy? Can you imagine Randy and AJ? That's always a dream match, no matter how many times you've watched that match. It is fantastic to watch, and I'm excited for that. So that's how it ended. It ended with Riddle picking up the victory, but of course, AJ and Omos destroying Riddle in the end and setting up that potential feud. And, hands down to Johnny Drip Drip and The Miz. Their comedic presence just comes perfect. I mean, Johnny Drip Drip has the perfect comedy in there with his drip sticks. I love them. I think it's the most ridiculous thing on the planet, but I love it. I'm in for Johnny Drip Drip. Push him, as Cameron Grimes would say, to the moon. And then just when Raw was picking up some steam, we felt we had a match which felt completely out of place. And that was the match between R-Truth and Reginald for the 24/7 championship. It just didn't feel like it should have been so high up in the card. It was a decent match in the end. Reginald picked up the victory, retaining his title through a bit of shenanigans that he does with his flips and twirls and dubs and like that. And it's nice to see him getting a little bit more ring time rather than him being Nia Jax's lackey. Nia Jax obviously beat the hell out of him last week, so he's retired. I think won the title, so great for him. But yeah, I think it was a good encounter to introduce us rather to the Reginald character, more so than just being a valet and having him in the ring. R-Truth, ever the professional, ever the great professional that he is, really put Reginald properly over. And I'm hoping this carries on to a proper feud rather than having the two just run around backstage like they've done with R-Truth and Tozawa and Drew Gulak and whoever the rest of the posse is. It seems to be getting less and less people every week, the guys that are running after the 24/7 title. So I'm hoping these two get a proper run. And then it was time for the main event of Monday Night Raw. We had Nikki Ash taking on Charlotte Flair. And look, we've seen this match a few times overall, albeit in a 2-minute warning match or a cash-in match. We haven't really seen them go at it properly one-on-one. And this was a glimpse of what's to come. The two have some decent chemistry in the ring. However, the decision to allow Charlotte to beat Nikki Ash is a baffling one for me, in the sense that Nikki Ash just won the title and then you're making her look like a weak champion. She's a superhero in training for, she should be a lot stronger than what she actually is. The match itself, again, like I said, these two have the chemistry. They just need to build on this and get it over and put it to the line. Charlotte looked more clinical, more finished product than what we've seen her in the past. Even Nikki Ash looked a bit more crisp in her moves, and they look like they were getting that chemistry going. And I think next week we'll get a much more cleaner match. So at the end of the match, so you guys know, Nikki Ash got straight back up and challenged her to a rematch. Charlotte Flair said, of course, and then beat the living hell out of Nikki Ash. Just destroyed Nikki Ash to get all that heat on her. And you know what? I'll take my hat off to Charlotte. She knows how to get a boo from a crowd, no matter your feelings on Charlotte Flair, no matter how much you think she's getting shoved down our throats. There is a reason behind it. It's because Charlotte Flair is such a good heel. In fact, I will go out and say it right now. She's possibly the best heel on WWE TV, just underneath Roman Reigns, in my opinion. Right? Roman Reigns is up there. Charlotte is like this much below Roman Reigns. She's just so good as a heel. In fact, I'll go and say it, across wrestling right now, Roman Reigns, Charlotte are up there. And I'm even throwing Matt Cardona in that right now after what he did at the GWC, whatever it's called, and winning that title and the bloody mess that he was. And, those guys right now are the pinnacle of what a heel should be. And people like Bobby Lashley and Kenny Omega, who claim to be the best wrestlers in the world, whatever it is, they're not getting their heel persona off properly. And, Charlotte has done it by herself. I'm just going to give it straight up to her. Roman had the help of Paul Heyman and his henchmen. Charlotte is just that good. It really takes us back to the days of the dirtiest player in the game, Ric Flair. I mean, if you think about what he did in the early 80s, 90s as the ultimate heel, you can see who the father is for Charlotte. Let's just put it at that. And with that came the end of the Monday Night Raw. And like I said at the beginning of the show, wasn't their best effort. There were some highlights in the show throughout. I mean, the Ali match wasn't too bad. We had Riddle and Johnny Morrison, which was a decent match. I really enjoyed the tag team match, funny enough, between Viking Raiders and AJ and Omos. And look, it's something that needs to work. We need to get rid of that McIntyre Jinder storyline as quickly as possible. Eva needs to go back to becoming a fitness model on Instagram. Doudrop needs to get back her old name of Piper Niven. And we need to finally bury the hatchet of Shelton and Cedric. Please, for the love of everything that is good and evil. And please give Nikki Ash back her name. Damn it. Then we can maybe have a good Raw. And of course, give Keith Lee the proper push he deserves. Damn it. But with that, it's time for the Vaz scale for Monday Night Raw. And can't give it more than a 6 tonight, unfortunately. It's just didn't hit nicely. It felt like an uncompleted show. It felt like a lot of the progression that we've had over the last few weeks on Raw, it's just sunk so far down. We're getting repeated matches, we're getting repeated storylines, we're getting storylines that should have ended 20 years ago being brought up again. And it's just not great. I mean, let's hope their SmackDown show will be better and getting us hyped for SummerSlam, because that's what we're supposed to be. Right now, I'm not feeling anything from Raw on the SummerSlam card. The only thing maybe that I can, if it hasn't been announced yet, but once it does, then I'll get excited, is AJ Omos versus RK Bro. But right now, everything on Raw side pushing towards SummerSlam is not heading right here. I mean, Bobby Lashley, Bill Goldberg. However, SmackDown, Roman, John Cena, I'm excited. Even Roman Finn Balor, I'm excited for that. We've got Mysterios and Usos, I'm excited for that. Edge and Seth Rollins, I'm excited for that. Come on, Raw, lift your game up. With that being said, I'm your mother's favorite podcast of ours. We'll see you guys again shortly. Please remember to click subscribe and notify so you get all up-to-date video content that we post here on PWC. And if you guys haven't gone to watch it yet, please go watch the one-on-one our CEO Nashville with Kyle. It is actually a fantastic little watch. Those two just, if you want to have a smashed up tag team, put those two together. You'll have a much better chemistry than what T-Bar and Mace have. Damn it. Anyway, ladies and gents, see you guys again soon. Remember to please tell your parents, grandparents, lovers, haters, whoever you like, come and subscribe right to us here on our YouTube channel. For me though, once again, peace and chicken grease.